What up, Mr. Dave?
Ooh,
I think we accidentally got haircuts on the same day. Dave's a lot more dramatic. You lost like 8 inches there, maybe more.
I lost like 42 pounds of hair, and I could show a photo here. That's maybe some post editing, but it was gross.
Come on, the Dave grows hilarious. I just
great.
go and have him take the razor to it there.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, nothing to it there. So you know what else looks great? Looks really good.
Oh God, king of segues. Go on. Yes.
Images do. Yeah. Anyway, I thought one of the things we could do here. Let me widen this up. Oh, look at all the room we got in this.
And you use top editors.
No, I'm equal opportunity. The only one I don't really like is Right. But
Right is the best one. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and then Left, actually, we just had to fix a bug the other day because this is a big iframe, and then if you were to drag a file on from this side, the iframe was gobbling events in Chrome, and like it's a problem we've fixed on other whatever. That's the most inside baseball crap ever. I'm going top for now. Deal with it.
Weird. Okay,
Deal with it. And dark mode. Even though, you know what we've been doing behind the scenes is a secret light mode, like for the whole site. I have no idea if we're going to actually launch that, but we had to refactor everything to CSS custom properties, and it's just been it's so actually kind of fun, you know.
It's a dream, right? It feels real good when you got the properties in there.
Woo! So what I want to do is this. I have this great picture of Paul Irish, right? You ready?
I love Paul. I miss Paul.
I know. He's just busy probably changing the world behind our backs. So just Paul, right? And I like that. I like in this picture that he's got the meme boy face on it. He's rocking just really solid, I think.
Good.
So I blogged Images Are Hard not long ago. I wanted to go up and down the list really quick because I think this is like fascinating how like complicated images can be, and there's no way we're going to be able to cover it all, but let me just go quick. Ready? First, it needs alt text, right? Paul Irish doing meme boy face or whatever. But is that good enough? Probably not. You probably want to describe the background a little bit. You probably want to, as Jake Archibald wrote recently, why is this image on my website? What's the like emotion I'm trying to convey? And talk about that. Like, is it in context of Paul being disappointed about something? You should probably like lean into that with the description. Anyway, just alt text, not easy, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff. So you get that going. Let's say that's different though than this. So I want to go like figure, right? And then rock like a fig caption in here. That's like, you know, maybe it's even fig 1.1, Paul Irish, you know, wearing shirt or something. That's different than the alt text. The fig caption probably is like more like some kind of explanation of what's happening, not necessarily like the emotional context of what's happening up here.
Right.
Okay. That's just a little HTML you got to know about, you know, whatever. That's fine. Let's see what else is on the list, you know. Then there's like, let's say, okay, let's get into some technical crap, like differently formatted images or next-gen formats. Look at this format stuff we offer on CodePen, but this just happens to be this isn't like an ad for CodePen. It's just like a concept. Format auto here, like I have the opportunity to serve this in the correct image. But let's say I was serving it as a JPEG, right? How would I serve it as... let's say I wanted to take advantage of what's the new one? AVIF?
AVIF, yeah. That's the super tiny rasters.
There's only one way to do this with just HTML is to rock, what is it, a source? Source? Yeah. Is it source? Yeah, I think it's source. And then it's got a source set in it.
Or source set, yeah, either one.
I think, is it self-closing? Or do you have to close it? I think you don't have to close it.
You can just self-close, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a media on it, and this is, what are they called? What are these things called? Content types?
Oh, MIME types, yeah.
MIME types, right? So if I wanted AVIF to work, that's the MIME type for it, and then I would serve it as AVIF, which this just happens to work on CodePen, right? So am I going to get it?
I think that might be, is it type equals image / AVIF type?
Like
Instead of
as
media?
this?
Media would be like a media query, I think.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Media is a totally different thing. Type. Oh my God. We got it. And because my browser Chrome here supports this, then I get the AVIF version and not this. That's the only way in HTML to do that dance. And we could do it with WebP too, you know? And this is the only reason this is convenient to do at all is because we're on this system that can spit out a WebP, you know? Fortunately, on CodePen, there's auto, so you kind of don't need to do that, right? It just checks your MIME type for you and serves the best one. I think that's a big deal, but not everybody has that available, whatever, you know? There's that. And then there's just source set at all, right? Like I normally think of the source set syntax as being like, well, this is actually for the 1,000 with one, right? But actually, we got a comma separate here because we need to do and width equals, 500 because this is the one for the 500. I can't even, as many times as I've done this in my life, I cannot remember the syntax always, which is not a big deal. You just got to look it up once and do it. But I'm just saying, I'm not sure if this is exactly perfect right now. But then you have to do that for these other versions of it. And this stuff starts getting real thick real quick, And then you got to come down here and make sure that this is serving probably like the default one. Because there's, certainly browsers that don't make sure that's the small boy, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's just one example of all that source set and picture and stuff. And that's not even all you would do. Like if this was Paul's head was too small on mobile, you might crop him down a little bit. And then you have to use picture again because picture is the only one that source set is a suggestion. Sources are not suggestions. Only one of these sources is going to match. And that's the one that gets shown. So if you want to do cropping at a small size, you have to use picture. But then the source set inside the picture is a suggestion. And we didn't even talk about sizes, which is its own huge ball of yarn.
I just avoid it. It's that complicated for me, but it is useful.
It can. And there's like a fallback way you can do it that's like, at the size of the image, at 500 pics, serve the 500 width, otherwise send the 100 viewport width one, or so there's some kind of tricky thing that is like the bare minimum you can do. This is not the right syntax, but it's close to that. Okay. So know enough about images that you can use formats like SVG when appropriate. I put that in here because what if your designer gave you drunk professor guy, you need to
the
know.
raster.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't get the raster.
The vector. That's what I meant.
Give me the vector, or hopefully the tool I'm using can export the vector or something. And just you as a developer need to know, if you see this, please don't give me the raster, and to push back and to get the right version, and then to import SVG at all. And then what do you do? Are you gonna inline SVG it? Are you gonna image source it with professor.svg? Are you gonna make it a use? SVG is another whole trajectory of usage that you should know about.
And did you just put the SVG up there, or did you run it through SVG OMG? And did you click all the right settings on SVG OMG?
Well, why don't we skip ahead a little bit there? Isn't there? There's optimizing. Well, kind of. I have Scoosh open because we have this image of Paul. There is, I think this, on CodePen here, we have their optimizing kind of happens. If I hit edit here, I can adjust the quality, and just by virtue of it going through this, it's going to do some degree of optimization for us. So that's a possible thing, but that you should really think about. I mean, in here, I didn't save that much, but let me open Scoosh and drag. I have a copy of this random images Paul on here. So 13%, I don't even know. I'm using Moz JPEG, I guess. I could crank it way down. Look at that crap. I mean, how different is this?
I guess, I thought it would be really different, but no, not really.
But it probably depends on the image at all, right? It's just, this just happens to be one that compresses really well. So that kind of stuff needs to be on your mind,
You can resize it if you know it needs to be resized. You can reduce the palette. That's kind of an extreme feature where you just like chuck out colors. You're like, oh, I could probably do this in 128 colors, you know?
No, not lossless. Well, AVIF takes a hot second to run, doesn't it?
I think that's its whatever limitation is, that it just kind of
lower your effort.
Yeah.
I don't even know. That's going to take a minute. I've found that to be true too. So, okay, we talked about source set and sizes, optimize the image. Sure, Scoosh is for raster, but SVGO, there's a version of this. What is it? SVG-OMG or something?
SVG-OMG.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing, and it's also from Jake, who works on Scoosh too, I assume. It's the same kind of crap, you know. So you got to do that, but also like not everybody can do that as a one-off. Ideally, that's done kind of programmatically to some degree, you know.
Yeah.
Lazy loading, if you didn't know that one, that's pretty huge. If this is in content, I guess you put it on the IMG, not the picture, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be here.
Loading lazy, yeah.
Right. That should probably be there on 95% of all your images.
Everything but your hero and your logo, probably.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty important. And then maybe even like just take a gander at browser support. I think it's pretty great lately, but if it's vitally important, like your images, if you work at Pinterest or something, you should probably be polyfilling this thing because that's pretty darn important. You know, I'd say, I don't know, maybe that's controversial, but I would think so. Oh my God, width and height. How do we forget about that one?
Whoops.
These aren't on here at all.
We just talked about that, yeah.
Right. So all you have to do is know the original aspect ratio and you're good. Like you don't have to overthink this too much, but let's see. I'm going to have to find what the dimensions of the orig are here. So 1280 by 720, right? And I can tell that's from, you know, that's what the real image is. That's fine with 1280 height. 720. That's establishing an aspect ratio. We just did a video on aspect ratio. This is pretty important so that the browser reserves this space as it's laying out. That's great for user experience, but it's also one of the freaking core web vitals or whatever, isn't it? Like don't jank up the page load as it loads in.
Yeah, like it's an optimization. The browser can draw a box and then it like comes back and fills the box with your image. Like
right. And why I say this doesn't matter is like even if with CSS, you resize this image to something that's absolutely not 1280 by 720. The browser's still smart enough to reserve the correct amount of space for it. So that's a big high five to Jen Simmons. I think she pushed that through at some point, and that's freaking huge for the web.
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Yep. Host your images on a fast cookieless global CDN. Just do that. You know?
That's all you.
No problem. You know.
Okay.
Just kick that sucker into and then make sure that when that URL to the CDN, if you have a lot of images, you should probably rel pre-connect and DNS prefetch those URLs. So when the browser gets to that point, it's already done the DNS negotiation or whatever, so that it's not as slow. Yeah. Wow. Just do that, people. Don't worry about it.
Okay, we did it.
Yeah. And then, like, let's say that hero, you know, you really, not only are you not lazy loading that hero, maybe you should even preload the hero.
Yeah.
So there's that first contentful paint happens really quick. This has been showing up in image tutorials to this thing. What is this?
Decoding async. So it's basically, you're not going to notice it because our computers are really fast and do things really fast, but it's basically like how the browser decodes the image that it has. And so synchronous would be it blocks the rest of the paint or the rest of the images, and async would be kind of more lazy. Like it's just going to do it when it can.
So these are kind of peas in a pod in a way. This is a bigger deal because it just doesn't load it at all, but this is how it's willing to like seed to the, like, don't block anything to deal with this image.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's sort of like loading lazy. It's like it can load in, but then it's going to stop the main thread to decode it, you know?
Yeah.
So here you're saying like, just load it, and then take your time. So.
Well, that's good to know. That's more than I learned about it, right? I wrote, when. Like, when do you use it and not use it? That's what I don't really understand, you know? So then there's fallback stuff. Like, what if this fails? Should I, you know, use like a pseudo L? Like, should I have a background color? or something.
That's a good start. You know what else you can do? Can I get wild with this?
Yeah, what are you going to tell me to do?
Use a service worker and like serve an image in a service worker.
Oh my god. That says like
an SVG that
broken
just
or
says,
something?
Yeah, like my fake SVG placeholder image. I've done that before.
That's awesome. That's not on my list, but
It's
I like
next
it.
level,
I thought
it's
there's this
something
this
you
is
can
pretty
do.
simple. Like you go like content. What is it? At or alt.
Yeah.
So that way, like at least you can see what I wrote. Like you won't. I don't think you'll see
Like,
that.
could you mess up the source? Just like beef the source, and then it might like.
What does that mean? Oh,
or just,
sure.
like,
Yeah, just
change-
bloop.
Yeah, Copan. The other sources are matching. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool. But then you probably want to like size it the same, figure out a way to size this thing so it's the same size as before.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to add some typography to this. I like font. What's a great one? Fantasy. Will that work? Yeah, it will work. Oh, but it puts the
double. Okay, so the default like fail is to pop.
There's some way to
alt.
handle this. I wasn't prepared for that, but I think we have a blog post coming out on CSS Trick soon. Consider more pleasing before load states. You've seen that crap, right? The like blur up and whatever, sure, maybe.
I hate that.
Okay, fair enough.
I do. You're giving me something I don't want. I don't want your blurry image. I want a real image.
I think it used to be a bigger deal when the aspect ratio stuff wasn't in place, because it was like that really was faking that aspect.
Yeah.
So sure, but a lot of things just offer that out of the box these days, and that's kind of cool. Have performance monitoring in place to make sure giant rogue images don't slip through and mess with your performance budgets, which happens to me all the time.
Chris, are you saying marketing uploaded like wallpaper-sized images for the little product photos? Yeah, they did. They absolutely did. Yeah. And was I getting flagged on it? Yeah. Did I have the ability to change it? No. So anyway.
Yeah. It's just, some part is like just don't do that, but part of it is like could you actually prevent it or have performance monitoring so that you fix it if it does happen, kind of thing. It's just a lot, and we really didn't cover all of the whole stuff. Yeah, I was writing about this, and then there's a Addy Osmani book all about this stuff. So high five to Addy too. He's on top of it. Oh, you have it.
Look at this thing.
Oh, hold on.
That's how you load an image. So much, man. This is an awesome book, though. I mean, to be fair, a book about images, it's a lot of images of loading images. So anyway,
still, that's a beast. That's a beast. That's hilarious.
It's a Bible, and it is like just about loading images. So
right. I wonder if it covers, because lately I've been thinking about like what about all these frameworks that offer to help. Like 11D Images gets a lot of high fives for doing a lot of this for you. In the end, you use a little short code and you just point to the thing and that's it. That's what I like too. I mean, I high-fived WordPress about it recently too, because my workflow days, I take a freaking screenshot of an image on my desktop. I don't even think about it. And Mac is the worst. The thing's probably 5 megabytes big. Like they don't care how big it is. And I just drag it onto a blog post and I don't even think about it because it's going to optimize it. It's going to make all the different versions of it. It's going to put it on a CDN. It's going to have lazy loading on it. That's what I want, is the workflow to be like, zoop, do not think about it, use it. And I think stuff like 11D Image is useful there too. You end up just using a shortcode, you point it at the image, and the output is everything you want.
No, I think a lot of frameworks have these like image components in place, and to be honest, I don't use them because I'm like, I know how to do it, but like I probably would benefit, even though I think I know how to do it. You know what I mean?
I promise you would. Yeah, just all of it combined. Yeah, I guess that says it all. That it's a 3-inch thick book. So
here's a 20-minute video about loading an image.